Hello, in this video you'll learn how to use the Math Expression tool to type your work in the Show Work window. Most quizzes and both of your proctored exams in this class will contain several Show Work problems. These are problems where you'll need to show the correct work in order to receive credit, and in order to do that you'll need to type your work using the Math Expression tool. When you're inside a quiz or exam, if you'll click this hamburger button, the 3 horizontal lines in the upper left corner, you'll be able to see how many show work problems are in that assignment. Here you can see that this quiz contains 2 show work problems. Every show work question will have a show work button in the lower right corner. You won't see this button on questions where you're not required to show work. When you click the show work button, you'll get the show work window. And this window has a toolbar in it that contains several buttons. By far the most important button is going to be the one with the pi symbol. That's the button that activates the Math Expression tool, and we'll look at that in depth in just a minute. The button that has the A on it is the text tool. Anytime you're typing a math expression, you should use the Math Expression tool because that's what's going to let you write all of the math notation you'll need, like fractions, radicals, exponents, etc. And whenever you're typing words or numbers in a table, you should use the text tool. The pencil button is a drawing tool. The only time you should use the drawing tool is when you need to draw a line or a circle or an arrow or something like that. If you're taking a Math for Teachers course, you'll occasionally need to use the drawing tool to draw a long division doghouse symbol. Right next to the drawing tool, there's an eraser tool. So naturally, if you want to erase something you've drawn, you'll just click the eraser tool and then erase. This button is a color selector that will let you change the color of the drawing tool. Now let's take an in-depth look at the Math Expression tool. I've displayed my on-screen keyboard here so that you can see what I'm typing. Of course, you'll just be typing on the keyboard that's connected to your computer. You won't have an on-screen keyboard. Let's say we want to type 5/3 plus 1/4. The easiest way to type a fraction is to type the top number and then the slash key and then the bottom number. So let's try that now. So first you'll click the Math Expression tool, then you'll click in the window where you want the math expression to appear, and then you'll type top number, slash key, bottom number. Notice how the Math Expression tool has automatically formatted my fraction for me, and also notice that the denominator of my fraction is highlighted blue, and you can also see that the cursor is blinking in the denominator. That tells me that if I type anything else at this point, like a plus symbol, that's going to appear in the denominator. Of course, we don't want the plus symbol in the denominator of our fraction. So the way to move the cursor out of the denominator or out of any blue highlighted area is to hit the right arrow key. And now that I've hit the right arrow, you can see that the denominator is no longer highlighted and the cursor is blinking to the right of the fraction. Now I'm free to type the plus symbol and the other fraction, so 1/4. Now let's look at a fraction that has 2 terms in the top. So when we try to type this fraction, if we type the numerator x plus 3 and then hit the slash key, you can see that only the 3 has been counted as the numerator of the fraction, but we wanted the whole x plus 3 expression to be in the top. So to avoid this problem, we can get a blank fraction template by typing the slash key first. And that gives us a blank top and a blank bottom. Now I can type x plus 3 in the top, hit the down arrow button to type the denominator, and then x minus 7. So it's good to know that you can get a blank fraction template by hitting that slash key first. One more tip before we move on. If you've already typed the top of your fraction, and then you remember that you should have hit the slash key first, you do not need to erase everything you've typed so far. What you can do is click and drag over what you've already typed to highlight it, and then hit the slash key, and everything that you highlighted will then become the numerator of your fraction, and all you have to do at that point is type the denominator. Now let's look at exponents. So again, you'll start by clicking the pi button and then clicking in the Show Work window where you want your expression to appear. Now, to type something like x to the third, what you'll do is type the base of your expression first. So we'll go ahead and type x, and then to get our exponent, the easiest thing to do is hold down the shift key and then hit the up arrow key. And you can see that that created an exponent template for me. And I'm going to type my exponent, which in this case is 3. But notice that if I continue to type the expression, for example, if I hit plus here, it's going to put that plus symbol up in the exponent, and we don't want that. So what we'll have to do, just like we did with the fraction, is hit the right arrow key to move the cursor out of that blue highlighted field, out of that exponent field. And once the cursor is out of the exponent field, we can continue with our expression. So now we'll type plus 5x, and we want to put an exponent of 2 on that x. So again, hold down the shift key, hit the up arrow to create an exponent field, type your exponent, and then right arrow to get out of that exponent so we can type the rest of the expression, which is minus 7x plus 9. Now let me show you the math palette. So when you click the math expression tool and you create a math expression, I'm sure you've noticed this button that's underneath the little yellow field that you're going to type your math expression in. That opens up a toolbar. So let's click that math palette button and you get some symbols here. And I'll go ahead and click more to get all of the symbols. Now none of our classes use all of these symbols. Most classes use only a few of these symbols. Notice that you have a fraction template in here. You have an exponent template in here, but we already know easier ways to type these things. You have an equal sign, but why would you not just use the equal key that's on your keyboard? So you don't need all of these buttons on the toolbar. Notice that when you hover your mouse over any button, you'll get the name of that button, but also the keyboard shortcut that goes along with that button. So if you can see here, the tooltip says fraction, so we know that this is a fraction template, but it also has a slash out there to remind us that we can get this tool by just typing the slash key. Here's a radical, a square root symbol. So when we hover over this, we can see that the keyboard shortcut for a square root symbol is \SQRT. So we can get a radical two ways. We can either click the math palette and then click the radical button, or we can just type \SQRT. And as soon as you type the T, the typing is going to transform into a radical template. Now, just like with our other templates, whatever you type is going to go in the blue field. If you have finished typing what belongs under the radical, but then you need to type something that goes outside of the radical, again, you would need to type the right arrow key to move the cursor out from under the radical so you can continue typing your expression. Now let's look at what happens when we try to type text using the math expression tool. So I'll click the pie button, I'll start a math expression, and I'll type a sentence. This sentence was typed with the math expression tool. You can see that as I typed, the math expression tool tried to format things that it recognized. For example, all of the I's and E's are in script because it thinks that I'm trying to type the I symbol for the imaginary number and E, which is also a mathematical constant, and you can see that it took EXP and formatted it in a special way. So the math expression tool is always trying to turn everything you type into a math expression, and if you're typing words, you don't want that. And that's why whenever you type words, you should click the A button first and then click in the window, and you'll be able to type normally. Notice that when we're using the text tool, we get this text formatting bar. Now, there's no need to go to a lot of trouble to format anything. You can just type it the way it comes up. But if you did want to change the color for some reason, you could do that here. If you wanted to change the size, you could do that as well. But really, it's not necessary for you to format the text in any special way. So if you need to type words, you'll just click the A button, click in the window, and just start typing. No special formatting is needed. Now I want to show you another tool on the toolbar, and that's the selection tool, the first button on the left side of the toolbar. Here I have a couple of sentences that I've typed with the text tool and a math expression that I typed with the math expression tool. And I want to show you that if you need to move anything that you've typed, or if you need to resize your text box, you can do that with this selection tool. So what you'll do is just first click the selection tool, then click on the thing that you want to move, and you'll be able to move it anywhere you want. So you can rearrange your work to look the way you want it to look. And if you realize that your text is covering up where you want to put a math expression, you can select your text box and then notice the three dots in the lower right corner. That's going to let you resize your text box any shape that you want it to fit where you need it to fit. Now let's talk about editing expressions that you've already typed. You can edit these expressions. All you have to do is first click on the tool that created the expression. So if I wanted to change this text, what I would do is first click on the text tool and then click on the text box and then click one more time to get a cursor. And I can use my arrow keys to move to whatever word I want to change. I can delete, I can add, and get it just the way I want it. Same thing with a math expression. So first you'll click the pie button, then you'll go click on your math expression, and then you're free to use the arrow keys to go to the part of the expression that you need to edit. If you've drawn anything with the drawing tool, like a circle or whatever, you can also select those items and move them around. And now before we finish, let's go over here on the right side of the toolbar and look at a couple of things. Here you have an undo button, a redo button, and a trash can. So you can click the undo button multiple times to undo multiple changes, and then you can click the redo button if you want those changes back. The trash can has a dual function. You can either delete all the items at one time or just one selected item. So if you want to just erase everything in your show work window, you can click the trash can and it will offer to delete all your work. Let's say we did that, and then let's say we decided that was a mistake, we want that work back, we can click the undo button and get it all back. And maybe we just want to delete this circle. So what you can do is click the expression tool and then click on the thing that you want to delete, and then click the trash can and it will delete only that selected thing. So again, if I want to delete just this text box here, I can click the selection tool, then click the text box, and then the trash can, and that gets rid of just that one selected thing. Of course, when you've got your work the way you want it, you want to click the Save button here, and that will save your work. And then there's just one more thing I wanted to show you. If you were to try to advance to the next question without showing your work, MyLab will remind you that you need to show your work here. So you're not going to forget to show your work. You're always going to be reminded before you go to the next question that you've not completed the work here. And that's a little introduction to the show work window. You'll be able to practice using the math expression tool in the show work orientation. And please make sure to read the show work policy for your course in the course syllabus. Let your instructor know if you have any questions at all, and we'll be glad to help you. Thanks for watching. Bye.